I wanted to give you some tips really as far as identifying and being on alert for a player. And in the dating circuit, we meet a variety of characters along the way. And as far as our safe relationships are concerned, it's quite useful to be able to identify certain people who may be wanting to draw us into a dynamic which might be quite detracting for our lives and also potentially quite harmful. So I wanted to just give a heads up really as far as being on the alert for players, which are often those people who have an agenda and often use quite a lot of manipulation along the way in order to get what they want. But in order to do that, they have to find out if you will be up for the game or not. And one of the useful things that we can have in our safe relationship toolbox is an ability to be aware enough to spot a player. So I wanted to give you a few tips today and just to highlight a few things, but there are a number of other identification tools that you can use. But I wanted to highlight a few today. And one is that a sexual player will very often have the agenda which is very sexual in nature. And by that I mean their primary agenda and target is to see if we will engage in a sexual relationship. And quite often they will want to find that out very early on because a lot of people don't want to waste their time when they could be using that time on someone else who will give them what they want. So you may find someone who is a player will dip in and out very quickly and possibly disappear when either they have what they want or when they find out that you are not going to give them what they want so that they can go and see if they can find it elsewhere. So that's a potential sign that that person could have been a player if they do not get what they want quite quickly. Some will wait over a period of time, but if it takes too long, then they will leave anyway. And some will wait quite a long time. So that's number one tip there, is to be aware that someone's sexual agenda will probably pop up quite early on if they're a player, because they want to know whether they're going to be wasting their time with you or not. The second tip, which comes from the first one, is that if someone pushes the sex very quickly rather than a romantic or friendship agenda, because it highlights who they want to be, which is sexually aggressive, so that you are drawn in to a sexual relationship. Because quite often with a player, you get a sense that this person will not stay around unless you hand over the goods. And from that sense, we can often feel pressurized into going into a sexual relationship because we have that sense that they're going to disappear if we don't give them what they want. So that pressure can be quite subtle and often out of our awareness, because sometimes with a player we can actually act subconsciously without being aware that we're picking up vibes from the other person. And so we could be acting out of our own awareness as well. So that's quite a fundamental, from a sexual player's point of view, will be that these sets will be pushed quite quickly because that is their agenda and their target. And very often, because of their prior history, they've worked out that leaving can persuade the other person to give them what they want, which is a manipulation tool often when they leave. It's a sort of test really to see if you'll come back and say, oh, okay, then I'd better sleep with you. So those are quite good indications there that we may be manipulated by a player without realising it. Another thing that often players will do, not always, but often they will try to get you to chase and do all the work because it enables them to manage things in a way that you are doing all the work, and it allows them to see how interested you are. So sometimes we need to flush out a player a little bit in order to see what their agenda is, because they're not going to show it to us up front so that we can leave without giving them what they want. And so often what they will do is they can pull back to see if we will chase. And this happens with all ages as well, which is quite an important thing to understand. So pulling back to see if we will chase means they see how much power and control they have over you. Because if you chase, then they know that you want them and they know that you will potentially do the work. And if you do, then they have a partner potentially jumping through a lot of hoops, and also it can give them the ability to put us on the dating bench. Putting us on the back bench means that we are put to one side so that we are available in the future whenever they want to come and pick us up and put us down again. And so it's quite important to be ultra aware and conscious of what is happening in our dating dynamics every step of the way, particularly if we think that the other person is playing us. Sometimes it will take some time to determine that. Other times, depending on how much practice we have, it will show itself very quickly. And so we can take action and protect ourselves so that we can go on and have safe relationships in the future. And also, all of this is good practice. So I really hope that's of help to someone out there. And as always, stay safe and happy. Bye bye.